Councillor Pranger. Councillor Steinoff-Gray.
Present.
Councillor Stewart.
Present.
Councillor Williams.
Present.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. As representatives of the municipality, we have been entrusted to act as stewards for the community in which we live and work. We recognize the importance of learning the full history of this land, our place within its long story, and our responsibilities as treaty people. I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We deeply appreciate the contributions that Indigenous people have made and continue to make, both in caring for this land and strengthening our communities and respective nations. As a public service organization, we are committed to actions that move us towards a journey of truth, healing, and reconciliation.
Do any council members have any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the agenda this evening? Councillor Kavanagh, please.
Thank you very much. With council's support, I'd like to request an agenda item be added for a request for a report from staff regarding barricades.
Would you like to make that a motion?
Yes, please.
And seconded by Councillor Blackwell. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Anything else? Okay, I'd like to remind council. Oh, I haven't got there yet. I'd like to remind council members to disclose any pecuniary interest now or as it happens through the meeting and the general nature thereof. Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. I need to declare a conflict of interest on 6.1I, community investment grants, due to my employment with community living.
Councillor Kavanagh.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to declare, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act on 6.1I, because I serve on the board of the Kincardine Figure Skating Club.
Deputy Mayor.
If I could also declare on 6.1I, I serve on the Afro-Caribbean Youth Awards, as well as the Lighthouse Blues Festival and the robotics.
What all do you do in your spare time? I wonder. So anyway, we're going to work through this a little bit so that the rest of council members, we might exclude that one line item for each of the councillors. So we will do all of it except for this one and this, so that you can remain in that conversation. Okay, we need a mover and seconder that the minutes of the council meetings held on February 11, 2026 be adopted as printed. Moved by councillors Kavanagh and Williams. All in favor? That's carried. All right, we move into the public meeting regarding an application for a zone change to 472 Mechanics Avenue. It's file number Z 2025-076. So if anyone in the public is interested in this application or wishes to receive a notice, there's an email at Bruce County where you can contact. There's also sheets back on the table right there on the west side of the hall. If anyone is interested and would like to receive any further communication regarding the status or questions, things like that about this application, please sign your name, contact information on the sheet, please. First, we're going to hear from planning staff, and then council members will have an opportunity to ask any technical questions regarding that planning report. Then we will hear from the public who are here in person or virtually or have submitted correspondence, both in support of and in opposition to the application. Members of the public are advised that the right to appeal the decision on this application is limited to specified persons and public bodies as defined in the Planning Act, or the owner or applicant of the land subject to the amendment, who have provided oral or written comments to council on the application before the decision is made. And then after we hear from the public, council will discuss and consider a recommendation on this application. So I now declare the public meeting open, and I would ask the planner on the file, Amy Rogers, to present the application. Ms. Rogers, thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you, and good evening, Council. Through you, Mayor Craig, the application before Council tonight is for a zoning bylaw amendment. The application proposes to rezone the subject property from Highway Service Commercial C2 to Mixed-Use Commercial C8A. If approved, this will permit a quadruplex dwelling without a commercial use. The subject property has a civic address of 472 Mechanics Avenue and is surrounded by residential and commercial uses. The subject property is designated primary urban communities in the Bruce County Official Plan, mixed use in the Kincardine Official Plan, and zoned highway service commercial C2 in the Kincardine zoning bylaw. Despite the highway service commercial zoning, the subject property contains a single-family dwelling with a detached garage and is used for residential purposes. The application proposes to demolish the single-family home and replace it with a quadruplex dwelling. The mixed-use official plan designation permits quadruplex dwellings. However, there are policies in the plan that address a standalone residential use without a commercial use. The plan requires that residential development in the mixed-use designation must be in the form of a medium to high-density built form, which is defined as a maximum of 50 units per hectare. The application proposes 40 units per hectare. The plan permits standalone residential development in the mixed-use designation, provided that it can be demonstrated that it does not impact the planned function of the area, and the applicant has submitted a planning justification report that cites the current standalone residential uses, a small lot size, a lack of frontage on a major road, and limited commercial potential as reasons why a standalone residential development would not impact the planned mixed-use function of the area. The proposed residential development is not expected to have any negative impact on the existing surrounding commercial uses. The application proposes to rezone the subject property to mixed-use special, or C8A, with a site-specific provisions that permit one quadruplex dwelling as a standalone residential use without a commercial use on the same lot, require a minimum number of 4 off-street parking spaces be provided, where the bylaw requires 5 parking spaces, limit the parking area, location, or maximum width of all combined driveways to not exceed 76% of the width of the lot, where the bylaw requires, limits the width to 50%, and permit a second driveway where the bylaw permits only one driveway. The application was circulated in accordance with the Planning Act, and 3 comments were received in opposition to the application, and these comments have been included in the report attached to this meeting's agenda. The public comments did raise some concerns about site contamination due to the auto body shop and paint shop that is adjacent to our subject property. That auto body shop is located at 475 Colson Lane. In response to the concerns that were raised, the applicant was able to supply a 2024 environmental site assessment report completed by an engineering firm that showed that no hydrocarbon impairments were found on the property and no further investigation was recommended. Subject to any further comments that are received at this meeting, the Bruce County Planning Department is recommending that Council approve zoning bylaw amendment Z-2025-076 and that the necessary bylaw be forwarded for adoption. And thank you. I'm available if you have any questions.
Council members, do you have any technical questions regarding the planner's presentation? Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you, I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit of why commercial mixed-use zoning was kept over a potential change to strict residential.
The primary motivation is that the property is designated mixed use as well already. So if we were to change a zone from the highway service commercial to a residential, we would also require a local official plan amendment. And the quadruplex use is permitted in the mixed use zoning.
This is technical. It has absolutely nothing to do with the planning application. Cameras are down, you might notice. The audio is still working for the general public, but the video is not. Okay. We'll now hear from members of the public. Is the applicant or the agent for the applicant present? Would you like to make a presentation? Genevieve from Questa is online. We can't see Genevieve. Can you turn your video on?
Hopefully you can hear me though.
Yep, that's good, Genevieve. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Um, so for those who, I'll see if, oh, there I am. Can you guys see me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay,
Oh,
all
there we
right.
go.
I'm not able to see anyone. So, all right. Well, thank you again. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Genevieve Scott. I work at Questa Planning Consultants. So first of all, I would like to thank Ms. Rogers for her report and a review of the application this evening. We were retained by the applicant, Mr. Woods, to process the subject zoning bylaw amendment application, which is going to permit a fourplex dwelling on the subject lands, which are described municipally as 472 Mechanics Avenue. Mr. Woods, and along with his daughter Alicia Woods Morley, are attending at council chambers tonight, as well as myself here remotely. So I just wanted to go over the proposal quickly. As noted in the staff report, the purpose of the application is to rezone the subject lands from a highway commercial to a mixed-use special zone to allow for the fourplex use without an associated commercial use on the same lot. So the dwelling units, it will be separated horizontally as well as vertically. So there'll be 2 lower units and 2 upper units. Parking spaces will be provided on 2 separate driveways with some landscaping in between the driveways. And that will be located, the parking will be located between the front of the building and Mechanics Avenue. So as Ms. Rogers noted in her report, the site-specific zoning will also permit a second driveway on the lot and will allow for a larger amount of the front yard to be allocated for a parking area. 4 parking spaces will be provided for the proposal. All other zoning provisions that relate to the application, which are the R3 zoning provisions, can be met by the proposal. So we meet the maximum height provisions, lot coverage provisions, and yard setbacks. Just quickly to go over the subject lands again, the lands are approximately 1,000 square meters, and it's sort of a narrow rectangular lot. It has 20 meters of frontage on Mechanics Ave and 20 meters of frontage on Colson Lane to the south. So the portion of Colson Lane that abuts the subject lands is currently unopened. The principal use on the lands is an existing dwelling, and that would be replaced by the fourplex. So what the proposal represents essentially is an intensification of the existing residential use at this location. The surrounding uses are mixed. There is residential to the south, north and northwest of the subject lands. And just to the west, there's auto body shop, and to the east is a motel. So when we were reviewing the proposal, the key policy considerations that we were looking at, particularly with respect to provincial interests, related primarily to housing, servicing, as well as the wise use and management of resources. So the PPS itself requires that settlement areas are the focus of growth. And this proposal represents a net gain of 3 dwelling units in the settlement area of Kincardine. The province does prefer full municipal services, and there is existing water and sanitary connections immediately available to service this proposal, and that was confirmed through an associated functional servicing brief, which was prepared by Pearson Engineering. The PPS also, of course, requires planning authorities to consider a range and mix of housing options. And one new policy that's in the updated provincial planning statement is that redevelopment of commercial sites is also encouraged. So the fourplex dwelling that is proposed is a housing style that will cater to people who are seeking a more affordable housing option. And this subject application is consistent with the provincial housing initiative, which is also reflected in the new policies of the 2024 PPS. We also had to take a look at the archaeological policies of the PPS, but these subject lands have been assessed and cleared of archaeological concern. And both Saugeen Ojibwe Nation's EO office as well as Ministry of Culture has signed off on the stage 1 and stage 2 assessments. So it is our opinion that the proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement. The Bruce County OP policies generally reflect that of the PPS, so I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but there are some concordant official plan policies that I just wanted to briefly review and take a look at how the proposal meets these policies. So there are two main policies that we looked at. There's the medium density housing policy and the mixed use designation policies. So in regard to the medium density housing policies, this policy emphasizes ensuring compatibility with existing development, and in particular, ensuring compatibility with existing residential development. And as I noted earlier, there is existing residential development primarily to the north and northwest of the site. So we have to ensure that the proposal demonstrates how it can be compatible with the established neighborhood. In this regard, the proposal does meet all of the required yards, so required side yards and front yard setbacks, which assists in visual impact of the proposal on surrounding land uses. The design includes porches to complement the visual style of a single detached dwelling, and incorporates pitched roofs, which assists in reducing the building mass and softens visual impact. With respect to height, it's anticipated to construct the fourplex to a height of 7.62 meters from grade to roof peak, which is quite comparable to a modern bungalow or a 1.5-story dwelling. So the building will remain compatible with the surrounding residential development. And overall, it does represent a fairly minor intensification of the existing residential use. Now, Amy had touched on briefly the mixed use designation policies, and that's another area that we looked at in our reporting. These policies essentially seek to protect the areas that are designated as such as for mixed use purposes. So to have neighborhood commercial service uses in conjunction with residential development. So the application must ensure that this policy intent is maintained. As I've noted previously, the subject lands are presently used as a single detached dwelling, and there is no commercial use on the lands. Therefore, any residential development of the subject lands would result in no net loss of existing commercial uses. While the land does have commercial uses on each side, the lands themselves are a fairly small lot size, and it would probably be quite difficult to develop the site exclusively as a commercial use. In addition, and as the staff report noted as well, the lack of frontage on a major road is also a bit of a deterrent for establishing a standalone commercial use at the site. So it's our opinion that the standalone residential fourplex development on the subject site is not going to impact the planned mixed use function of this area. And again, it does represent a minor intensification of the existing residential development at the site. Overall, we feel that the proposal does comply with the intent of the concordant OP. We feel it's also consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforms with the Bruce County official plan as well. It's our opinion that the proposal does represent appropriate urban planning principles. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Scott, for that presentation. Any questions for Mrs. Scott? Okay. All right. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak in support of the application? Anyone here who would like to speak in support of the application as well? Okay. Is there anyone here from the public with questions, concerns, or objections to the application? Anyone would like to make a presentation regarding concerns or objections to the application? Amy, were there any written submissions that have not already been discussed in the report?
No, there haven't been.
Okay, are there any questions from council? We'll close the public meeting, and then we'll have discussion regarding the motion that we'll present. But if there are any technical or questions, then this would be the time. Okay, good to go. So now I declare the public meeting to be closed. So I need a mover and seconder that council approve zoning amendment bylaw Z 2025-076 by Bruce Woods, care of Questa Planning Consultants, Inc., and the bylaw be approved by council, moved by councillors Steinoff, Gray, and Blackwell. Are there any questions or comments regarding the application? Councillor Steinoff, Gray, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I think that this is really reflective of some of the things we've talked about with infill and a really responsible way of dealing with our water infrastructure and wastewater, and makes it much more manageable from a municipal perspective. And I did look at the comments that were provided, obviously, but based on the environmental report that you provided, the tanks in question have actually been removed. Plus, we've had, I believe, 5 soil samples, 1 water sample that indicates that there is nothing there of concern. So therein, those concerns, they should feel very comfortable because now they have access to the environmental report, would be my assumption. I'm just clarifying.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. I haven't had a chance to speak directly to the commenters. Tried to follow up that report is available with the attachment of the Rubicon report. But that Rubicon report certainly does satisfy my concerns with regards to the environmental contamination.
All in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? And that is carried. Okay, moving on. This evening we have a couple of delegations. Our first is from Stefan LaBelle, who will provide an update on Saugeen Mobility and Regional Transit's new accessible service for the municipality of Kincardine. Stefan, we're so glad that you're here tonight. This is exciting news for the municipality.
Good evening, Mayor. Next slide, please. Over the last year and a half, there have been discussions between Saugeen Mobility and the municipality of Kincardine to authorize and organize a transportation service for persons with physical, vision, and or cognitive disabilities. We have come to an agreement. An agreement was signed last fall, and we are ready to begin providing services. Those services will be from Monday to Thursday evening. We already provide evening service on Fridays and on Saturdays, and it will provide Sunday service all day to persons, as I mentioned, with various disabilities. So we have a signed agreement, and this agreement is for a pilot project for a period of 15 months. Should it be successful, there is a clause to extend the service by 1 year every year. And this doesn't negate the current service provided by SMART during the day. The only difference is regarding the various parameters within this agreement, such as prices. Next slide, please. So within the agreement, SMART will continue to assume responsibility for the administration of the driver that we've hired, as well as the fuel, insurance, vehicle maintenance, in order to operate the service. There will be one phone number for the residents of Kincardine to call for this service. So it is 226-285-1060. During the day, this number, when you dial it, will transfer automatically to the SMART office during the office hours. And after the office hours, it'll transfer to the driver directly. And if the driver is not available, you can leave a message and the driver will call the resident back. The website is operational. It is smartkincardine.ca. And so the service is available for residents of the municipality of Kincardine as well as their visitors. Next slide, please. So this is the vehicle that we will be using. 9-passenger vehicle with hydraulic lift. We had presented a newer vehicle. However, it is a smaller vehicle, and it was decided to go with this bigger one. Next slide, please. So the fees are $2.50 per kilometer, and so there is a minimum fee of $12 per ride. And there is a waiting time or waiting charge of $24 per hour. For a visitor to be transported, all they'll have to do is provide the name and address, phone number of the person that they're visiting in Kincardine. And they'll provide their name and address to the driver who'll take down that information, and the invoice will be sent to the client in order to be invoiced the following month. And if the client requires an attendant, the attendant can ride for free. Next slide, please. That is all as far as the presentation goes. We are currently training the driver that we've hired, and we expect the service to begin as early as March 15 or before. That's all I have, Mayor.
That's only like 3.5 minutes. That was
I was
likely
told
the
I had
most,
5 minutes. So.
that's likely the most efficient delegation we've ever heard in 4 years. Thank you so much for that presentation. It is exciting news once again to have SMART provide some augmented services for the municipality of Kincardine. Council members, any questions, comments? Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Thanks, great presentation. When can we expect the first report on, because I always get a little worried that we're not going to get enough folks. So I know that we're going to use this all the way till March, but are we expecting updates every quarter or something like that, Stephen?
I can provide reports every month if you wish, but we were, along with the CAO, discussing quarterly reports.
That would be fine with me, too. Thank you.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. I was just going to express my thanks to Councillor Hinsberger, who isn't here today, and Deputy Mayor Clark for bringing this forward for Council's consideration over the past 1.5 years. And I believe it was started way back when Councillor Kennedy was on the SMART board. I just want to say again how appreciative I am that this service is going to be able to be available here for residents, especially the Sunday service. I know that that is something that was really sorely missed. And so I'm really looking forward to when it's able to launch.
Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, thank you for the presentation as well. Maybe just building off of Councillor Stewart's question, how do you plan to, or how are you going to be advertising this to make sure that we can kind of communicate it broadly to the people that need to be aware of the new service?
I'm working with with Lori in order to advertise the service. So we have the website. I've also made up a flyer that I can have printed into small cards that we can bring to various community living homes or day-away places.
Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Just want to perhaps reiterate or express my thanks for not only attending and giving the presentation, but finally getting this on board. I think as a community, we look forward to the expanded service. Just wondering whether or not there's any, at this stage, whether you know if there's any predictions as to take up for the extended hours. Is there any idea?
Not at this time. Although we know of a few individuals that have requested information on the service, but unfortunately I don't have specifics at this time.
Thanks very much.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. As someone who processes quite a few invoices from Saugeen Mobility, I don't know whether it's possible to actually include some of those cards when you're sending out the invoices to folks if they qualify for the service, just so that they have it right in front of their face when they're opening up their statements. Just an idea.
Absolutely, I can do that.
Okay, so on behalf of council and our community, thank you, Mr. LaBelle, for being here this evening. Once again, a great news story for the municipality.
If I can just mention one thing. As a taxpayer and I guess a future user of the service, I find the price per kilometer is high. There are low-income individuals that would like to use the service. But I did a further calculation in order to, vet this price. And I determined that our real price per kilometer is $3.67. And so the $2.50, I guess, covers part of the real cost. Now, the other thing is that we, along with Dufferin, Wellington, Bruce, and Grey County, are conducting a transit study in order to determine if we can centralize the management of all transportation services. If that project is successful, there could be a low fare adopted per ride. So it could be as low as $10, let's say. Now, obviously, it would not cover the real expense, and so there could be some municipal increases to the smart contribution every year. Or it could be assumed by the county, who would then, raise a yearly levy to pay for this service. But this is all in discussion. You will be presented with options as soon as we're getting a draft report this week. We are getting a draft presentation March 19th, and we are getting the final presentation for the options in May of this year.
Question about smart services in Kincardine? Councillor Stewart? Okay. And I appreciate the update there. You really wandered off the topic there just a little touch, so.
What it would mean for Kincardine is that you would possibly get a route going from Saugeen Shores to Kincardine several times per day and evening.
We'll look forward to when that happens, but we'll stick with the smart van success story on the short term. Let's go with that one. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, so I'd like to welcome Mary Foley to the podium, and she's here to present on Irish Heritage Month in Canada. Mary, please.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and Council, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity. On behalf of Celtic Academy Irish Dance Canada, I am the founding director, a not-for-profit organization which over approximately 35 years has spanned from the east to the west, to the north, to the south. I'm here in Ontario, home basing in Port Elgin. And within Ontario, we have 12 different class locations. And the purpose of the presentation is mainly to bring awareness and the education that has been going on behind the scenes over that many years on behalf of roughly almost 5 million Canadians that can trace their roots back to the island of Ireland. And so this month is, well, I'm speaking effective Sunday, the 1st of March. So the month of March has been now officially declared in the House of Commons as recent as 2022. So it was brought forth, the motion, M18, some of you are probably aware of that. M18 was brought in by James Maloney, he's an MP for Etobicoke North, and it was passed. And from that moment, the goal is to, again, educate and increase awareness across the country of Canada now, not just each individual province. For example, in 2004, the bill was passed, Bill 33, in the Ontario legislature, and that declared March 17th as St. Patrick's Day, which was a heritage day. But on a broader perspective, and where I'm coming from, is that it's now, when you see the federal level and you look at ethnicity and inclusion, inclusivity, and encompassing every single month in the calendar year. For example, I could give you the statistics across Ontario. I have full in-depth research into approximately 30 municipalities done in the 4 years. The most recent statistics I would look at would be, say, the region of Peel. So they honor every single month. And for example, India is the month of April. I believe we have Asia, South Asia, September. So out of the 12 months in the calendar year, thankfully the Irish passed through the motion for the whole month of March. And so in honor of that, and because we're a not-for-profit, the project that was presented to me, and this even comes in from Quebec, and so reaching, forth to the Irish Embassy in Ottawa, in which I have team colleagues there, and I'm also in regular contact with the Toronto Consulate, and the team there has encouraged, again, the flags to be raised in the communities where we are sharing our programs and keeping that roots and that heritage vibrant within the communities. We have been sharing our programs here. I see some alumni, I see some current families, I see some families here, which, again, that might be a conflict if you're on council, but I'm neutral in all of this. And so the main goal is to request a flag raising in honor of Irish Heritage Month Canada by the municipality of Kincardine. And every municipality has their own policies. I have read yours quite clearly. And I also see that your proclamation policy, the one sentence that it is, 28 years ago, I think we could probably, and I'm not going to suggest, but I'm going to encourage that some of these policies may need to be looked at and may need to be brought up to date, evolving, moving forward, because not only ethnic origin or your ethnicity, or I look at it more deeply into encompassing all of the cultures, and Canada being a multicultural mosaic, and being, arriving here as an immigrant myself from that little island many, many years ago, I know all too well what it feels like to be in a classroom where I don't speak English. I spoke Irish Gaelic, and being pulled to learn ESL, I felt very different. So Consa Tatu, it's now progressed along that I'm a Canadian citizen. I'm very proud of it. From one end of Canada to the other, we have family on that level that represent this great land of ours. And so we would gratefully propose to have a flag raising of the national flag of Ireland here in the municipality in honor of Irish Heritage Month. And some municipalities, for example, the town of the Blue Mountains, greatly welcomed me last week there with the mayor and council, and they were grateful for me sharing the level of information and education that I have to bring forth. So they're going with a week, and then we have the city of Guelph would say 2 weeks. And so they're encouraging ethnic origins to approach you and to include us in your regular celebrations, festivals. I also see it on another level in that if we don't set a precedent and set this for, I look at this as all of Europe, by the way, whether you're English, Irish, Scottish, German, French. My elderly students are telling me that, you know, Celtic origin and Celtic dance began in Denmark. So I'm educated. If you have any questions, I would be open to answer them to the best I know how. We also have the Embassy of Ireland in Ottawa willing to bring in a diplomat to honor that flag raising and to be part of the celebration in support of our application today. Thank you.
Mary, thank you so much for the presentation. With our procedural bylaw, council has opportunity to clarify and comment, but we don't have ability to make decisions. We can say thank you, or we can refer you to staff to bring back a report or an opportunity to celebrate another ethnicity within our community. So, council members, do you have comments, questions to clarify, recommendations about path forward? Councillor Kavanagh, please. Is that really Irish?
Yeah, Roy Patrick Kavanagh.
Okay, well, there we go.
Thank you very much, and through the chair.
This must be conflict then.
As Kincardine is traditionally known as a Scottish town, we also have a fairly famous Irish origin story of the Paddy Walker House, with a descendant sitting next to me. Are you doing anything in the municipality to celebrate the month?
Yes, we are. And actually, over the 15 years that we have been sharing our programs here, thank you for asking, Francis Walker, Paddy Walker, and his wife Jane, and 7 sons. The embassy is very aware of that in Ottawa, and actually they said to me, Mary, you have to ensure that the municipality is on our list for funding. And I said, educate me further. So Rory, on the 20th of March, which that I think would be a really nice, because it's the whole month now, and obviously the 17th, everybody wants the 17th, but for me, because the whole month is being honored, the 20th at Paddy Walker House has reached out, and we are willing, and we have agreed to have our local students perform, and for the community to come out and celebrate, and also to be on that list of the, I don't know if council you're aware of, Canada, Strengthening the Ties, Canada-Ireland 180 is, it just launched this month. It begins in 2027, so there are significant funds available for municipalities that are willing to keep programs and keep the community engaged in preserving history, such as the Walker House. I said to them, I'm not taking any funds for this, we're a not-for-profit, but the money that has always gone in by donation goes back into their trust fund, their heritage trust. So if we can keep that going and keep the municipality of Kincardine with, students here that 15 years ago, Tiverton was our first student here. Nice to see you. Thank you. And we have families
We're going to
as
shift
well.
over to another question from, you had a question?
It was the same question.
Same question.
Yeah.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. It's really a comment. Thank you so much, Mary, for coming.
You're
I think
welcome.
it's so important as a community that we are able to recognize various cultures that are here and the importance and the roles that they play within our community. So thank you for your presentation.
You're very welcome.
So with councils, Councillor Stewart, please.
Yes, through you, I thank you for coming. And, you know, we're a very inclusive sort of community, and I think I'd like the council to agree with me that we should send this over to Lori and maybe take a report and see what we can do. Not quite sure, it sounds like we're involved a bit in March this year, but maybe even more next year. So if the council agrees, I'd like to put a motion that we send it over to Lori to take a serious look at it, including this into our agenda. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I agree. Perhaps we would word it that we refer it to staff for a report. And it might go through strategic initiatives, but just to be as broad as we can to refer it off to staff. Is there a seconder for Bill's motion? Councillor Steinhoff Gray. All in favor?
Well done.
There we go. So our municipal staff will be in contact with yourself, Mary, to work out some arrangements to celebrate Irish heritage. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and Council. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to Smart Beach MOU. And we have our Director of Community Services, Luke Bedard, and Jacob Soder from Swim Smart Technology. So we need a mover and seconder that the municipality agrees to a memorandum of understanding with Swim Smart Technology, LLC, and the University of Waterloo for the deployment of a third-party model as part of a university research project funded by MyTax. And further, the council approve an amendment to the 2026 budget for the purchase of a solar-powered flashboard for an estimated cost of $20,577 funded from the contingency reserve, moved by Councillors Deputy Mayor Clark and Councillor Williams. Director.
Thank you, Mayor Craig. So the Smart Beach project is one that council will be familiar with, especially those who assisted with the peer safety report. The Smart Beach project began with the goal of developing and implementing.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Oh, I apologize.
It's okay. You can all go. If you're done being Irish, you can. We're glad that you're here, but you have our permission to go home and be real people again. Director, go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, and sorry. An integrated sensor network to provide a real-time and locally calibrated risk and warning system at Station Beach. Presented tonight as an MOU between the municipality, University of Waterloo, and Swim Smart Technologies in order to continue with the implementation of the warning system, as well as a budget amendment in order to procure the warning system. Should council enter into this agreement, the warning system would act as an additional tool for promoting safety at one of the municipality's most popular summer destinations. Attending virtually, we have Paula Lombardi, who reviewed the MOU from the municipality from a legal perspective and is available to respond to questions council may have regarding the agreement. Additionally, in person, we have Jacob Soder from Swim Smart, and he is available to answer questions regarding similar warning systems in other communities. Regrettably, neither Dr. Hauser nor a member of his team at the University of Waterloo were able to attend the meeting.
Other questions or comments regarding the proposed MOU? I got to say, it was pretty in-depth. I appreciated the breadth and the way that it eased us into the program. It's well done.
Thank you, Mayor Craig. I had assistance from people who are a lot smarter than me.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. Through you, I have three questions. I'll start with, is it Jacob that's here, the technical? Thank you, Jacob. Could you explain this whole thing to me? It seems to be a little bit of a mystery. There's a little camera, and then you're going to propose, and somebody will be at the other end. And is somebody going to be 24 hours? I'm a little bit, or is AI taking over the beach from us? I'm not quite sure. If you could explain, and then I have two other. Thank you.
Yeah, so I can, I appreciate your time, Council. I can present a little bit on our portion of the project. So some of it is being developed by University of Waterloo, so I'll defer to them on any specific implementation on the model. But fundamentally, what's being created is sort of similar to the weather forecasting models that you use for rain or snow or anything like that. We're building a very similar model, but for the near shore. So about a couple hundred meters from the shoreline, we're creating a weather model of the wave action. One of the biggest contributors to drownings in the Great Lakes is primarily wave driven, and that insofar is driven from the winds. So by forecasting the winds, we can predict the waves, and by predicting the waves, we have a pretty good idea of hazardous conditions. How I understand what Waterloo did in their implementation was a mix of camera systems, wave buoys provided by Bruce Power, as well as winds. And between those three things, we're able to estimate wave height, and then by estimating wave height, we can predict the relative level of hazard to a swimmer. The goal is not to necessarily indicate to any particular swimmer whether the conditions are hazardous. It's more to provide what we call happy sea, angry sea. So is the lake happy today? Is the lake angry today? And then how do we convey that information to the public so that they understand when the lake is angry, maybe now is not the time to go in the water. So really it is you can look at it like a weather warning system primarily for wave action.
Second question is actually to Paula. Is Paula on the air? Thank you. I haven't seen you since we were discussing the monument, Paula, so we'll see if we can have pleasant sort of conversation. I'm worried about the liability of this whole thing. Both of our partners in this MOU will not be taking any liability at all. I see that. So I'm a little worried about our liability because it seems like we don't really have control of this camera thing. The lights go on. If the lights are incorrect, we don't know. We could be sued. So I want to know exactly how you feel about liability with us. And have you talked to our insurance company, because they usually represent us in a court case, or they would be paying for some of the liability. So just wanted to make sure that our ratepayers are well protected. Thank you.
No, through your worship, that is a very fair question and a discussion staff and I have had. It was a issue that I had raised. We tried to amend the indemnification just to give the municipality some coverage, and neither would budge. With that in mind, staff and I have discussed, and I would ask that you think about this as a pool that is not lifeguarded. So what I would strongly recommend, if you pursue this because of the pros and cons of it, if you say there's more benefits in terms of people knowing what the currents are and what the waves are and all of those sorts of things, my very strong recommendation is that you only proceed in that manner if we put a sign underneath the lights that say, this is a guideline, the municipality is not taking any liability, it is still up to you to determine if the conditions are suitable for swimming. That's my very strong recommendation if you move forward with this.
Thank you. And just the last question, and not to you, thank you very much. I fully agree with you. We got to sort of protect ourselves. The last question is actually to this gentleman right here, Luke. I know that we don't really have any responsibility, but we seem to be getting ourselves involved in surveys and all sorts of things. There's a cost associated. Plus, we also have this wonderful thing called, if everything goes awry, we can actually send somebody out there and turn this thing off. So that means someone would have to be designated to this thing 24/7. Is that correct? And so there is a cost associated other than putting the sign up. There'll be some labor involved in surveys and everything else, because this seems to be a test program that we're going to reevaluate it after 1 year. Is that correct?
Through the chair, to answer your final question first, yes, it is a 1 year pilot project, and we would look to, we would bring it back a report following I believe the deadline in the MOU is September 30th to collect data. So we would bring back a report sometime in the fall, perhaps early winter, with some results. Regarding the surveys, this was a conversation that I had with Alex from the University of Waterloo. The University of Waterloo is interested in developing the survey. I guess kind of the easy way to say it is they said that they could develop a survey that collects better data than I could, which is totally fair. It's very reasonable. The survey will primarily be administered through a QR code on the sign so people can access it. The University of Waterloo did express that they would be interested in coming down one of our busier days. That hasn't been confirmed, as well as for us to assign a staff member to encourage people to go down to surveys or to participate in a survey. I would be happy to assign some summer students just to send some people down, walk along the beach for an hour and say, hey, are you guys aware of the sign? Would you be willing to take the opportunity to complete the survey? There definitely is a risk, to your point, Councillor Stewart, survey bias. Is everyone filling it out? Are they filling it out correctly? But we do not intend to have a permanent full-time staff member down there collecting the data. The MOU does outline the activities regarding if there is a malfunction for the signage, the warning system. Shane Watson, our Community Emergency Management Coordinator, would be responsible for managing any manual overrides. From the municipality's perspective, if the signage does have a longer period downtime, our objective is to turn the sign off until such a time we can connect with Jacob or someone else from SwimSmart to raise the sign back up, make sure that it's working properly, and go from there. So if there is a major malfunction, our objective is to not have Shane down there saying, the waves are good today, the waves are medium today, the lake is angry today. The sign would be off until it can be operated again.
Thank you.
Jacob, please.
One thing I wanted to add on just sort of the redundancies. The thing that's different compared to other municipalities we've worked with is for a lot of our other implementations, it directly uses the Weather Service's feed. So the National Weather Service in the U.S. publishes these forecasts on a periodic basis. We use that information to change our signs automatically. So from a municipality perspective on liability, it's just merely reflecting what the Weather Service is saying. The thing is, that is not the case with this. We're working with a Canadian university to develop this model. But I would encourage you that I actually just came from a conference in Toronto and met with ECC people, Department of Meteorology, and actually Canada does not have a nearshore wave model like the US does. So this would be actually a first of its kind nearshore wave model. Now it would be a baby one. It would be just for your beach. But it's actually a really fundamental weather prediction process that's going on all around the U.S. to provide information to inform beachgoers on these conditions. So this would actually be the first of its kind in Canada as far as I've seen. And then in terms of redundancies and failovers, so with the model will guide the light system to change certain colors. As Luke mentioned, there is the ability to override the system to turn the system off, and then if the system has a software issue or something, the light automatically turns off by default. So there are safety mechanisms put in place to ensure that the color isn't wrong, but there's no guarantee that the model will be correct. So,
just to tie up a loose end here, was it the municipality's intention to put that sign as referred by Paula on the bottom of that, on the warning sign, our disclaimer? Was that the intent of the municipality? Because I think that would be something that would be, we should address it now to make it well known that that's something we need. And was that the intent of the municipality anyway to do that from your department?
After speaking with Paula, it was our intent. Certainly I would leverage her legal advice.
Absolutely, thank you. Yep, right on. Stelina, please, and then Councillor Steinoff. Great.
Thank you, through you. I think this question is for you, Luke. If right now the plan would be to have one sign at Station Beach, is there any other way that we would be communicating the light system to beachgoers before they get to the beach?
Excellent question. It was one that we had discussed internally. Not at this time is the quicker answer. If we're, at this time, we do not intend to dedicate staff hours to regularly update our website to reflect the sign and, having someone aware of when the sign changes. Within that, the municipality of Saugeen Shores is going through a similar process, and they are looking to develop, again, a similar model, and part of their development is an app, so people can access it remotely. In speaking with the University of Waterloo, they do intend to launch that sometime in 2027, so this could be a future opportunity for Kincardine.
Councillor Stanoff-Gray.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Just two follow-up questions. I know that Mike 21 and Mike 3, we calibrated them against those in situ measurements. Is there calibration ongoing? Because obviously I'm assuming you're still refining the model, or?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was talking to Megan, and I do want to bring up one point to the last question you had. So our light can connect to online resources. So there are three players here. There's Kincardine, there's Waterloo, and then us. And as far as I understand it, Waterloo is working on, as Luke said, an online presence. We have a similar thing where the light can reflect to social media or a physical website, QR codes, and things like that. So I agree that an online presence is important. And in terms of calibration, so SwimSmart's contribution is the sign. Waterloo's contribution is the model. So the model, really the development is ongoing, and the calibrations will be more than likely around the clock. But it's just hard to say from SwimSmart's perspective what sort of calibrations would be needed for the sign. But we have signs around the United States, and the product's very mature. It's just strictly the model portion. It's unknown. That I would refer to Waterloo.
There was one other follow-up that I was thinking about, but you also asked a question that spurred one last follow-up. So I'm going to ask the first one because I'm assuming it's fairly obvious that the sign is off to end users. I just wouldn't want someone to falsely make a perception based on a sign that we've turned off. So for clarification, I just want to confirm it's very obvious and transparent that the sign is not functioning when it's not functioning.
Yes, that is correct. The lights are designed for their environment, so they are very visible and cleanly distinguish an on versus off. So if it's glare or something like that you're referring to, it's designed to sort of mitigate glare's effect on making it appear on. Mm-hmm.
Based on what you just said about social media and the fact that you actually can connect some of this information already outside of an app, what the light colors are, is it possible for us to connect it to, for example, municipality social media or some of our lovely community outreach groups that may want to broadcast that information? Because I think we should make that readily available. We don't have to wait for an app for those types of functions.
So what I would add is a lot of that is still in the works on our end as well. So it is separate from Waterloo. We're just kind of a very excited partner to be a part of this process. I would defer to Waterloo in Kincardine on kind of leading. We're just here to provide support however we can. So if Kincardine or Waterloo feel that part of the development would be a social media presence, then we can certainly participate in that.
Councillor Kavanagh.
Thank you very much, and through the chair, I wanted to say hello and welcome back to Canada. That's good to see you again. I had the opportunity to tour Station Beach with Jacob in the end of March, I believe it was. It was a little bit colder.
It was cold at the beach.
Yeah, it was still cold. And then I'd also like to thank the community volunteers that have contributed to making this project such a successful project and not giving up hope. Megan, Dave, Blair, who's not here. And then finally, I'd also want to thank our Director of Community Services, Luke. Thank you very much. You took something that was very much stalled and dead in the water, and you have provided an excellent deliverable. Thank you.
Bad metaphor. Deputy Mayor Clark, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Thank you for the presentation. Just a few questions. I understand, I guess, from what's been presented that accuracy is still in question in terms of the model, and I presume that that's just not something you can answer because it's being led by Waterloo. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would certainly defer to Waterloo. Really, it comes down to bucketing it within a red, yellow, and green. So it's more about defining those and keeping consistent with the red, yellow, and green than it is specifically getting to a tangible number. So the goal typically isn't to measure an exact wave height. It is to get a feel for what is an angry lake versus a happy lake. So the actual definition or the actual framework that we may consider a green, yellow, or red may change after the project. That's, I think, the important part of the survey. The survey is, the goal is not just to define these metrics, it's to evaluate from the community how they perceive them and how to actually change people's behavior to keep them out of dangerous situations. So the underlying metrics may change during the duration of the project, but I would defer to Waterloo on specifically how the model would handle that.
Thank you. I wonder if I could ask a second question, and this one's for Paula. Thank you, Paula, for your guidance in relation to your proposal that in order to mitigate liability, it would be wise to have some form of signage. Just wondering if you've turned your head towards thinking about the impact of social media and if this information is to be transmitted from various other sources, how that may look in terms of disclaimers. And it's not something perhaps that you can certainly answer, but I just raise that because clearly part of the discussion this evening has been the thought of social media, and I have a little bit of hesitation to ensure that if we're going down that road, that there's the proper disclaimers in terms of guidance. Sorry, I'll turn it over to you, Paula.
No worries, and I completely agree. And we actually discussed that as well once it was going out on any social media. So I would, we talked about if you're doing an introduction on your website to this program, you have a link to the Swim Smart, and there's a disclaimer on the bottom. Any social media going out via text, I would do. I like being overly cautious because in times of legal claims, as you know, the first instinct is always to sue the municipality if anyone can, because you're viewed as having deep pockets. So every text or every messaging on it, I would put the disclaimer. Doesn't have to be as encompassing as the one on the board that people look at or the one on your website, but absolutely put a disclaimer on everything that has to go with anything with respect to the Swim Smart program, frankly, would be my recommendation.
Just to wrap that up, is that part of the MOU or is that a separate document or policy implementation?
It would be part of the implementation. It would not be part of the MOU. That would be something the municipality would be responsible for doing on its own, and give the language to anyone who is putting out the information via social media.
Okay, thank you. Councillor, please, go ahead.
I just have a quick follow-up question for Jacob based on one of the comments made from Andrea's first question there. I apologize. We talked just a few seconds ago about how the model may have some accuracy issues, but more as it pertains to how we bucket it, and we're going to use that survey feedback to calibrate. When I look at models, and when I'm comfortable displaying them, I'm usually very comfortable if there's what I would call a conservative bias. So I guess where I want to feel comfortable is that there's a conservative bias, because the last thing I would want is a green light for someone who's not familiar with the lake and water, when somebody may interpret that green light as actually an orange, because that I need to know that it's a conservative bias to feel super comfortable, right, with that approach. So if you could just help me with that, I'd appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, so how the model is more than likely, and I would refer to you to Waterloo on the specific implementation, but it is kind of collaborative. So if the municipality feels strongly one way, we can work with you to define those parameters. But how I understand the parameters are more than likely going to be defined today is based on the guidance that the U.S. National Weather Service does today. So when we get to that stage and define those parameters, I'm happy to present that to the municipality so you can also review the underlying assumptions and parameters that are being made and evaluated to change those colors. And I do feel that's important, is showcasing, well, how are these decisions being made, and when they're changed, actually communicating that. But from my last conversation with Waterloo, the parameters would follow that of the U.S. National Weather Service, which does have a conservative bias and has been implemented at weather offices around the Great Lakes region.
Councillor Blackwell first.
Thank you. Through you, I'd like to echo Councillor Kavanaugh's comments in terms of thanking the staff and the community members and everybody involved in bringing this forward. In terms of reviewing the MOU, I shared a concern earlier, which was around the language on page 12, specifically about the different levels of warning. And so in the MOU, it says that red warning means dangerous surf conditions and swimming should be prohibited. And so in kind of thinking about that, my understanding was we don't actually really have jurisdiction over the water or the ability to actually prohibit swimming. And so what I was wondering was whether we could look at, and whether that's part of this MOU or something different, looking at the language to be consistent, which right now for green and yellow is a risk-based language. So whether that would be very high risk or with advisory language, something like that, because I think it would go along with the recommendation from Paula and legal saying this is always going to be your interpretation of the risk. You have to make that. And so that would be something, just kind of a thought on that one. I guess the other one is...
Perhaps, just a minute, can we let Ms. Lombardi address that question? Is the word prohibited on the red level hazard? Is that word prohibited a good choice, or should it be there's very high risk?
I would change it to either danger or very high risk. It is a very good point in terms of the use of the word language prohibited, because it infers some enforcement mechanism by the municipality if you're prohibiting. So I would put high, medium, high, low risk, or danger, that sort of language instead. Agreed.
Is that attainable, Director, in the MOU, that those words are in it? I'm not sure that it's part of the body of the document or just an example on the sign. Is that something that can be taken back for discussion? I get it, they both indicate, high risk for being there, but the ability to prohibit is, as Councillor said, beyond our ability at this point. Is that a reasonable request?
I'm not sure if you're talking to Luke or me.
Yes. Yes.
On our end, we're okay with either or. So some beaches prefer one red being a closure, and some beaches don't. So we're agnostic to either or, just based on the local policies, and we're happy to amend the MOU.
I'm confident that the University of Waterloo would be happy with this change as well. On the top of page 12, it does note that these criteria are subject to change, and therefore I'm very confident they would be amenable to this small change. Within that, I don't know if it's permitted, but should council choose to move forward, if the opportunity exists to agree to the agreement in principle, like with a couple small wording changes, I would advocate for that, in that the SwimSmart sign, the warning system does have an up to 8-week time for ordering. So if we would like it installed for that early May, my preference would not be to wait for another council cycle.
I think you would have our concurrence to move ahead expeditiously. Councillor, please.
Thank you. Through you, just to follow up, what's the neutral color on the sign? So we know if it's off. Is it green until conditions change? Is it red until conditions change? What is kind of the standard way of it? What I would worry is if something got stuck on green, but conditions actually changed to red.
So how the U.S. model is it always stays until a new forecast is issued. I can't comment on this model, but how I understand it is it's very similar. So until the conditions change and reach a threshold to facilitate that change, it would remain that same color. And that is pretty standard, that a sign could be green for multiple days on end and not need to be changed.
Thank you. Sorry, one last follow-up. One of the things that we've talked a little bit about at the beach is we have the pier no swimming area, and that's no swimming all the time, no matter what. One of the things I'm a little bit always nervous about is kind of sign overload at the beach. And I'm wondering whether we can consider how we can consolidate some of the information on the undertow, where the no swimming zones are, the emergency information with this sign, as opposed to just one additional sign. Like, is there a way to kind of add some information adjacent to each other if we don't want to change this sign as particular, so that an individual has all of the information in one place? While you're answering that, I just want to say one thing, which is I think it's often easier sometimes to be conservative and to do to kind of continue with the status quo, but I do feel it's really important to take the risk to try this program because we've done so much around the pier. This will kind of address some of the areas beyond the pier where there people were actually in the water and where some of the risk is, where the undertow may drag them towards the pier. So anyways, that's my soapbox. But
So what I'm going to take out of that is, yes, councillors in support of it. The consolidation of signs falls outside the mandate of the MOU itself. That would be a municipal direction subsequent to or complementary to. What we're talking about is just the MOU for the Swim Smart monitoring system. I hear what you're saying. I'm going to go back to Luke's encouragement that if we want to get this implemented in the right time, then let's get the sign up. If there needs to be additional signage, then we can do additional signage somehow else. Councillor Williams had a question.
Yes, thank you, through you. I appreciate what Councillor Kavanagh said. I know that a lot of people have been very passionate about getting this project through to completion, and so I'm pleased to see the point that we're at. My question would be for you, Jacob. If you've implemented these systems in other jurisdictions, I'm just wondering if you've seen these systems create a change in behavior once they're in place.
So the good and bad news is that's what this project really is meant to measure. Part of the research that Waterloo's doing is not just the model, but the social science behind it, and that's the most unique aspect of this project, is we're really going to get good definition on how people perceive and change their behavior with a lot of study and tangible data with how people are affected with signage and things like that. It's a very robust process. Is usually led by academia. So there are similar studies that would point to changes in behavior. We don't have those numbers, but I can say anecdotally, the communities we're in, people really appreciate it, especially locals and tourists alike, and they take that information into consideration before they go to the beach every time thereafter. So it kind of becomes a staple of that beach, and yeah, so this study really is to get the objective criteria behind that. And because the MOU is 1 year, we can evaluate after a year if it was a success or not.
Okay, for my clarity, you moved this? Did you move this motion?
No, Councillor Clark, or Deputy Mayor Clark.
So we're just confirming who moved and seconded.
I think I.
And Councillor Williams, okay? Moved by Deputy Mayor and second that we agree to the memorandum of understanding, and further that we approve an amendment of $20,577 to the budget funded from the contingency reserve. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Jacob and Ms. Lombardi and Luke, well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
No, you can leave if you need to, but we're not having a break now. There's a lot of stuff to get through yet. All right, so we're moving on to the OSIM Bridge Inspection Report. We need a mover and seconder that council receive the 2025 OSIM Bridge Inspection Report for information, And the council directs staff to incorporate the recommended 1 year, 1 to 5 year, and 6 to 10 year structural improvement needs into future capital plans. Moved by Councillors Blackwell and Deputy Mayor Clark. Manager, hi Corey, how are you doing?
Great, and yourself?
Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so these are the OSIM bridge inspections completed every 2 years for any structure that's over 3 meters in width. We completed these in 2025 with BM Ross. We speak to these a lot in planning for our capital projects as well as the next bridge management plan. We feel that it's good for council to see what we are up against for the next 10 years as far as recommended rehabilitation and replacement of the structures. So yeah, we're bringing it forward for information as well as support that we put it into our capital plans going forward.
Thank you. I appreciated the report. It was, it provides the broad overview, and I particularly appreciated that staff had heard the comments of council and the public during the consultation period and kind of amended the direction some of the earlier recommendations were going. So that's a great news story. Questions regarding the bridge report? Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. Through you. There, under the 1 year recommendation, it says to be completed before December 31st, 2025. I'm assuming that was that done already, and are some of these ones that are being recommended for this year, are they all within our existing budget, or are they in addition?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So anything that was urgent in that 1 year was completed before 25. There are some other lingering ones that will be covered and already budgeted for 26.
Councillor Stanoff-Gray, please.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I just had one really quick question. Well, I had a couple really quick questions for you. I apologize. One of the things that I was noting, because you had attached that 2025 report again for review, and one of the things that I had noticed in it was that obviously we had the suggestion that we should do, I think was it 5 bridges every 5 years in the report, to make sure that we don't end up with constraints. Am I hallucinating, or I think that was one of the recommendations that I had, correct?
Through you, Mayor, I believe at a previous one for the bridge management plan, we had spoken to, spreading them out over time over the 10 years so that we're not stuck with 1 year with a major replacement cost plus rehabilitation. So we do look at projects that are alike, such as, say, we're doing a waterproof and repave job. We would bundle those together and tender them as one to get a better cost through the contractor. So to answer your question, yeah, we do spread it out to try to keep up with the overall cost.
Thank you. And I did get to my notes where I had referenced that. I guess the reason why I was asking about it is because when I looked at the data provided in the report, the lifespan of a bridge being 50 years previous and new bridges being 75 years, or with good maintenance, like is being suggested, 80 years. We have a lot that are over 50 years. When I looked at how many structures, we've probably got at least 20 plus that are 66 years old, because they're 1968 range. At least 15 plus that are the 46 years, and then another 10 plus that are like the 36 years. So, and then 10 plus that are, again, significantly higher than that. Those are the 19, 30, 40, and 50 bridges. So I guess I was just trying to get an idea. I know we have this repair strategy, but I do think it still speaks when you look at those numbers, because I think that for those older bridges, we should be using the 50-year lifespans. We're basically at capacity for them. So has that factored into some of the recommendations that we have?
Through you, Mayor. So part of that, doing these bridge inspections, we would have the structural engineer look at the state that they're in and give an estimated life expectancy of it. We do go off 50 years for some of the older ones. We do find some if you do a 2-year and another 2-year, sometimes we don't get a lot of change in them. Sometimes we get pretty severe deterioration on some of them. So that factors into when we decide replacement as well. Obviously planning for some of those ones that are older that are in the 50-year, but we would look to the recommendation of the engineers to help us with that.
And then I was actually hoping you might be able to help me understand this, because I want to make sure I understand it, and I think it's a good thing. But the comments in the report were that the MTO used to not have us do the waterproofing and paving because we wanted that visual inspection. But then we realized that the salting and all the other activities were causing sped up degradation. So is there any concern with our ability to do those visual checks now that we're readopting that process? I kind of wanted to understand how it fits into our maintenance program, because the reason I ask is I'm also curious because we have so many bridges that are older than that, and this is supposed to be effective for 30 years. Are we doing the older bridges as well as the new bridges, or just for those bridges with the longer lifespan?
Through you, Mayor, so some of the older ones didn't have the waterproof and pave. So again, through there, they may recommend doing it. They may recommend that it's in good shape. It'd be kind of a waste of money based on when we need to replace it. I think they speak to it's probably better to protect it, and you will see that deterioration come through the bottom if there are any serious concerns. So the benefit would be that you're protecting it longer, and any major things you'd see from the underside.
My final question that I had, and it might not be a perfect one, but I had one final question. I don't know how to ask this question. I'm just trying to think of how I do it. One of the things we had said when we were looking at the bridges is they had mentioned deep water bridges. It was a concept I hadn't thought about. And they were saying how there's lots of things we can see, but there's a lot of things that we can't see. And probing's only so effective. Are there any measures preventatively we should start thinking about spending on where we can see what's going on in those underwater structures? It was just, I'd never really thought about the fact that our assessment might not be wholesome. So I kind of wanted to ask the question. I never thought about it till I was reading it in prep for this meeting, so.
Okay, so we're going to hold that question for the next item on the agenda, which deals with bridges that you can't see what's going on. So this one sticks with the, do we think it's a good idea to direct staff to incorporate recommended 1 to 10-year structural improvement needs into capital budgets, and also, include it in the budget, and that's why it's there for council consideration to address as we come along. But your question does fit right into the next point on the agenda. Yep. Is there any more questions about this motion? All in favor?
It's just for information.
No, we're directing them to do it. We had a mover and seconder that we receive the report and direct staff to incorporate the recommended 1 to 5 and 6 to 10 year structural improvement needs into future capital plans. Once again, all in favor? Anyone opposed? And that's carried. So into the bridge management plan. Just one ahead. So we need a mover and seconder. The council requests the mayor to include a project in the 2027 budget to undertake the hydraulic analysis of structure 2128 to enable further review of alternatives for that site. And the council support replacement of structures 2134 and 2136 at the end of their useful life with the installation of a culvert as an equitable solution. And further, the council support future rehabilitation of structure 2610 as need necessitates. And further, the council directs staff to engage BM Ross to further assess the severity of concerns at structure 2621 as an immediate action with engineering funded from the 2026 operating budget. Moved by councillors Kavanaugh and Blackwell. Discussion, Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
Thank you. Yeah, question operationally, should we be looking at how we can do better assessment of the underwater structure?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So some of them will state on them, water was high at the time, did not do a full inspection of, say, the footing and stuff like that. I think proactively over the years, we've been doing like erosion protection around some of those items. So even though they can't see them, they still speak to, we should de-water them and put erosion protection around the footings. I would say that if there's any movement in the structure, that will come through on the upper portion that you do see. There's also always underlying stuff that you can't see under the water, but I don't think that any of the structures would, I think they would speak to that in their OSIM inspection if they had any concerns that we were required to do any underwater stuff.
So if I may, in a previous report, it would seem to me that these were bridges that had been recommended for closure, some sort or other. And this is a little change in direction, a recommendation by staff that, the 2128, that's the one where we need the hydraulic inspection. 2134, 2136 up on Side Road 5 between concession 9 and the boundary. There's one up concession 6 and one up concession 10. And I think the question is, all right, are we taking them off the closure list and putting them back on as need demands? That's the broader question here. So Councillor Stewart, I think you had a question there, please.
Thank you, and through you, just a question. It says that council requests the mayor to include a project in 2027. I'm not quite sure if we can do that. We have a new council in 27 with a new budget that will be approved by the new council, so I'm just asking a question. You can recommend it, you can suggest it, but that's all you can do. The question I really have is actually for Corey. You're changing things, which is good. We did have some feedback from the population and community. I still think that we need additional. Anytime we're looking at a bridge, I know that we sent out notices to the local property owners, but I also think that we have a lot of commuters. And we almost need to set aside some time, and maybe during the summer when it's a little nicer, some students, and actually find out who actually is using those roads. So we sort of understand, then we can come back, because some of these bridges might not require going up to vehicle sort of expectation. They might be just basically a bridge that the farm community will use and will restrict the activity on the side road. So what I'm sort of saying is I like to bring the community back in when we make all these decisions. This is a huge cost. I mean, this is going to be a huge cost for the next 10 years. And we took on the roads too the same way. We put $1 million onto redoing all the roads in the concession. So this is what we need to do. But I want to make sure the community really fully understands. So if we can bring a little more into the feedback, then we can understand if it's a culvert bridge, do we need this kind of bridge? Do we need a span bridge? Or can they get away with something else? So that's my only comments. Thank you.
Councillor Stanoff-Gray.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I'm aligned with Councillor Stewart to that extent, but I do like the fact that we're bringing things back that were on the closed list, because I had a number of constituents that you must have reached out to from Ward 3 that were extremely concerned on what those changes meant for them, and particularly with the last couple winters we've had with the road closures and the necessity to find other alternative means to 21, which has been closed extensively this past year. And part of that's not even just the visibility, it's trying to get all the snow off of it afterwards. So from my perspective, I think that this actually shows that we've listened to the community, knowing the concerns that I've been given. But to Councillor Stewart's point, if we are going to be discussing closures, I think it's really important that we proactively discuss them far in advance so there's enough time to pivot based on that community engagement. So my only ask would be to ensure that we are forward looking at that far in advance of those decisions coming to fruition, so we have a proper opportunity to engage with the community.
I appreciate how it's noted in here, there's the open-endedness of these where the end of their useful life or as need necessitates. So there's Like, there's not X date that we're going to do it, it's, when we need it, so that provides for that option. Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you, through you, Corey, through you, Mayor, sorry. This isn't always my most comfortable place to be in terms of all the technical stuff, but from my understanding, when I'm reading through the Bridge Master Plan, some of the things that were recommended to be retired, that is not staff's recommendation anymore. I'm wondering whether we could perhaps provide like an updated summary and map as part of the report as an addendum to I'm a very visual person, and so it can help me understand what has changed from the very significant report that we got as the final bridge report to what is our actual strategy going forward, because there is quite a bit of financial planning in there, there's quite a bit of network discussions, and so just trying to help me understand how to put the recommendations and the report together would be really helpful.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So I'll just speak to this a bit. So after we did the public consultation, we had, some that were really concerned about significant impacts to the agricultural operation, as well as the Amish community, specifically for Side Road 5. If we were to close that, some would have to go out onto 21, or that would be the closest path to what they would need to take. Understanding having horse and buggy on 21 is not what we would call the safest route. So that was a big concern brought forward. So through all this consultation, we had the 5 structures that are short-term potential retirements. We went back to GEI and we, through some of this consultation, was like, do we need to put the same like for like in? So in there, you'll see the memos that come through that state, some of those structures on Side Road 5 were estimated to be $500,000 each, and we could do it with a culvert instead for $200,000 each. So what we are looking at as staff, does it make sense to retire them, or does it make sense to look at viable options of what we can replace them with? And then if we are supportive of not closing or retiring those, then we would put in the plan to replace them with these types of structures. So speaking to the hydraulic study, we don't know if we can do a different one there. That's quite a span to look at. Through GEI, there is a reduced price. I think it's a little over $2 million for that structure. So, quite a bit different than the OSIM, and the OSIM just looks at a like-for-like structure when they do cost estimates.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I really appreciate that. I guess one of the things for me is I've had some conversations with folks in the community about when the plan was coming out and some of the mapping that was shown. And what would be helpful for me is some sort of document that I can reference that kind of brings together that information. So they're saying, well, the report says you're going to retire it, and this says you're not. What is kind of maybe some sort of document or something that we have that can be referenced quite easily for the public?
Yep, the most current information, that's all. Deputy Mayor, you had a question?
Thank you, Mayor, through you. Thank you for the work that's gone into this. It's clearly very significant and informative. I think from my perspective, there still remain some questions, and I appreciate that to an extent this is kind of an ongoing changing scenario, and I'm grateful for the fact that feedback has been taken and reviewed, and as such alternatives have been proposed. But for instance, when you make mention of using culverts as opposed to retiring or rehabbing, for me, it would be perhaps useful to understand what the life cycle cost comparison would be, because I suspect one of the issues we'll be looking sort of long term, not simply immediate cost savings, but what makes most sense long term. And I'll let you respond, then I have another question.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Life cycle would be similar, culvert to like a concrete box culvert to high density culvert pipe. They would be a similar lifespan as long as you're maintaining them properly.
And then I also wondered whether, and I'm sure thought was given to, but whether we increase any sort of liability exposure with regards to refurbishing or rehabbing older bridges, or whether, bearing all of that in mind, it's still deemed, I guess my question really is that a consideration that's taken into account?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Yeah, rehabilitation's always on the table. Depending on the age of the structure, some of them don't make sense to put that sort of high cost into it when we don't know what all the rest of the structure is like. But yeah, they're definitely a viable option to extend the lifespan, to buy some time through the planning.
I'm sorry, was that the question?
No, not quite, but thank you. But thank you for that. So I think, so no, that probably, that falls on me. Let me try and ask my question a different way. I'm just wondering whether, when we look at maintaining older bridges, whether that increases our liability or exposure effectively, or if that's a consideration. I'm not asking you for specifics, but whether that's a consideration that's factored into whether we choose to maintain.
I'm going to shift over to the director. He's here with his hand up. I think he had some information in that regard. Adam, please.
Yeah, thank you. So with respect to the deputy, I think it's easiest to tie that back to the fighting inspection. We take a look at our structures at that time, get it in place, and do that. It really got it by
Adam, the reception on your computer mic is really bad. It's Smurfs going through puberty or something. I'm not sure what it.
Is that any better for you?
There we go. That's better.
All right, perfect. Apologize, council. Through you again, Mayor Craig. So we part of the reason, obviously, I mean, there's a mandate to it, some provincial requirements, but part of the reason we do the biannual inspections and rely on the information in them, they do give us an indication on the state of a structure and whether it is a suitable candidate to continue within our active inventory. If immediate rehabilitation, repairs, or even just routine maintenance are necessitated. And so, routine maintenance can be as simple as washing a bridge structure, being the bridge deck or the sidewalls, or doing something such as tightening bolts on it, all the way to the extent of erosion protection or doing some significant repairs. So I do think we are monitoring our liability with all of our structures by way of doing those inspections, and then addressing the challenges that may be pointed out within them.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you. One last thing. This isn't perhaps a question, more so as a comment. Given the somewhat eye-popping financial impacts of these bridges, it may be something that towards the end of this term, but certainly the next council may want to be raising provincially in terms of infrastructure assistance, because as a rural community, we have a very large bill that we're looking at to maintain our network for our family and especially the agricultural community.
So we have a motion before us regarding the bridge management plan. All in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? And that's carried. Move on to the fleet management policy. We need a mover and seconder that council adopt the fleet management policy as presented as the foundation of the Municipality of Kincardine fleet management strategy. Moved by councillors Kavanagh and Williams. Manager, please.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So over the past little bit, we've been working on an overall fleet management plan, and what we are bringing forward is the fleet management policy, and this would provide a clear and responsible approach to managing the municipal vehicles and equipment. by ensuring that they're replaced at the right time, maintaining cost efficiency and keeping the overall equipment safe and reliable for the staff and the community. So this policy helps reduce repair costs, improve service reliability, and plan ahead for any future needs that we require. It also reflects modern priorities such as fuel efficiency and environmental sustainability. This plan was developed with input from staff across the departments. The policy creates a consistent process for evaluating and updating our fleet so that the tax dollars are wisely used and they support the use of high quality equipment for municipal services. So the fleet management policy provides the high level objectives that are set out for the overall direction, expectation, and governance for the municipal managed vehicles. And internally, we would do we have detailed fleet procedures, and these will act as administrative tools for staff to carry out on a day-to-day basis to, meet with the policy objectives. Be happy to take any questions.
Questions? Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you, through you. Compared to our current level of service, how does this policy potentially change?
So through you, Mayor, I would say overall, since I've been here, we have been using this approach, using best management practices. They do change from time to time, different things such as, introducing EV and stuff like that. So it's ever evolving, but I would say this is a good approach to standardize how we are conducting business and going forward.
Councillor Williams, please.
Thank you, through you. Just, I guess to confirm the current state. So do we currently have like an inventory of fleet replacement schedule and cost efficiency, or the point of this is to get there?
Through you, Mayor. So we do already have a replacement schedule that we've used in the past. I would say some of it we update probably annually just to see if we're at where the market is for, different replacements. Some of them have been stretched out over the years just past their best service life, so we're trying to get back into a procedural thing that they're replaced this because this is the best time, reduce the overall future maintenance on it. I would say in the past we've put some dead money into pieces of equipment that we've kept for too long, and then we're kind of at that mercy of we need to repair them because we don't have the replacement budgeted.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Good plan. I know we had it, but this formulates things, because our fleet cost in '25, our budget was over $3 million. 2026 was over $2 million. You look like you're projecting 1.6 on an ongoing basis. You're right. We fixed some equipment. I won't mention any of them that we should have got rid of. So I think that's great. And you're going to be the key people looking after this for all the departments, eh? Because we have a lot of vehicles and equipment out there that aren't under your direct control. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor. Fleet management falls under my portfolio. Obviously work with department heads for that sort of stuff, but maintenance all falls under myself with the mechanics.
All in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? That's carried. We move on to policy review, PR 3.1 municipal tree policy. We need a mover and seconder that council repeal policy PR 3.1 municipal tree policy. Applications for municipal tree removal, pruning, and replacement guidelines, moved by councillors Williams and Blackwell. Director, are you still online with us here?
Yes, I am, through you, Mayor Craig.
We all received the report, but could you tell us about the wisdom of repealing our municipal tree policy?
Yeah, so this policy, it certainly isn't just encompassing of Public Works or the infrastructure team. When this policy was put in place a handful of years ago, the horticulturist under the community services team worked with the different groups, and we prepared something that would help guide us in terms of how we managed our tree canopy on public lands. Since that time, we've developed the private tree policy that certainly has what we feel is, probably some more stringent and detailed guidelines in terms of how to best manage things. And so when we started into the overall policy review, this was certainly one of them on our list. The teams got together and took a look at this and really felt that the information that was left within this policy that wasn't already contained in the private bylaw and policy that was put in place through council. We really felt that what was left was more procedural, really guidelines in terms of how staff would go out and inspect trees, when they would consider limbing them, when they would consider completely felling a tree, and the communication with the public and stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, and I know that trees have certainly been a hot topic politically over the last couple of terms. So, if council felt that this is something they aren't comfortable with, we certainly can pivot and look to update the existing policy and maintain it. We just felt that really by creating some procedures around how things are managed and how things shift over time in terms of different infestations such as the ash borer, that procedurally that it just gave staff a little more latitude to manage that. But again, we're content if council it takes a different direction than what we've suggested here this evening too.
So basically, it's become redundant.
Yes.
Further questions regarding the tree policy? Councillor Prenger.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Respectfully, I disagree with your comment that it's become redundant. The new policy that we created is specific to private lands and does not cover municipal or public lands at all. And we wrote it that way on purpose because this policy existed. We intentionally left out anything to do with public lands because we didn't want to create redundancy. So unfortunately, I can't support repealing this bylaw. I could support updating it to remove some of the more prescriptive things that our director was talking about in terms of procedural stuff that the staff does. I can understand, I was reading through it, and I can understand why it might feel constraining in some ways. However, it includes requirements such as when the municipality removes a tree on public land, we replace it with 2 trees. Things like this that would get lost, and then staff could just decide ad hoc how they were going to replace trees. Not that I think they would do anything maliciously, but having a standard that the public can expect to be upheld is important. And having it publicly available for people to know what that standard is also important. So there's also a few forms in there, so if someone needs to request that a public tree be removed or trimmed or pruned or something because it's dangerous, I'm assuming we could make those digital online or something like that, but the policy could the bylaw could just say that you go online and use that form, and then we could reduce the size of this policy for sure, or bylaw. Sorry, I keep calling it a policy. My apologies.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you, through you. And I just want to get some clarification because Councillor Prenger and I were on that committee that was working on the bylaws. We introduced 2 things. So one was the private tree bylaw. We also drafted the tree canopy and natural vegetation policy. Is that the policy you're referencing in terms of that now this tree policy is sort of overlapping with? And I wonder maybe perhaps what might be a clearer approach is to bring back those 2 policies and see how they interact, like where they may not necessarily need to both be in existence, because one was from 2021, I think, and one was from 2023 or 24. So it might be clear to streamline instead of having both policies to figure out if there's any overlap.
Director, comment?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Craig. I think Councillor Blackwell certainly has made a great suggestion. At the end of the day, our goal is to obviously streamline operations and be efficient and have have reference to a policy document versus two. So some of that from our end certainly is reflective of the fact that there is the canopy policy in place. So and certainly understand the comments of Councillor Prenger as well. So we, if council wanted us to, we could take a look at those two and see if there's an opportunity to essentially morph what is in existence of two policies and clean them up and put it into one or whatever council may choose here.
Maybe we refer that back to staff for further revision then. Do we need a motion for referral or something?
We have a motion on the floor, but can I have
Councilor.
Thank you. Through you, I'd like to make a motion to refer it back to staff to take a look at those two policies and bring back a report to council.
Seconded by Councillor Kavanaugh. All in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried.
That was easy.
Traffic and parking update. We need a mover and seconder. The council approves the recommended amendments to bylaw number 2019-165 Municipality of Kincardine Traffic and Parking Bylaw as set out in Operations 2026-05 report. Moved by Councillor Kavanaugh and Stewart. Discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? That's good. With council's approval, we're going to finish these next three reports, and then we'll go for a bio break. Okay? Basra RFP, Municipal Services Corporation Business Case Study. We need a mover and seconder. The council endorses the Municipal Services Corporation Working Group's recommendation to accept the proposal submitted by KPMG LLP in the amount of $111,813.27 plus tax to prepare the required business case study for the establishment of Bruce Area Solid Waste Recycling as a Municipal Services Corporation. Moved by Councillors Prenger and Steinhoff Gray. Councillor Prenger.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. It might not, it is in the report, but I'll just clarify a couple of things. So at our last Basra board meeting, the board approved a motion to have the fee for this come out of Basra's budget. So municipalities will not be contributing any portions to the $111,813 for this cost. This comes purely out of Basra's current operating budget. And Basra supports this approach and took the recommendation of the working group that this is the correct company to go with, and we're willing to. We also, sorry, I'll just clarify, there was a couple other things in here. We also agreed to make sure that any consultants or anyone else we've worked with in the past that could provide useful information to go towards this study be made available to the consultant that's doing the work.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I appreciate my fellow councillors' comments and everything, and the board going ahead with this, because I'm not really convinced that we should, whether we incorporate or not, but even taking on the contract, we're not forced to take on the contract. I mean, it's basically Waste Management's offering us some money. So, I'm not sure if there's a return on investment or not, so I'm interested to see what this business case is going to look like. And I'm not sure if there's going to be any financial, but I would like to see a financial report about what's the benefit of our company taking on an outside contract if there's no benefit to the ratepayers. Thank you.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Two things. So the incorporation is a totally separate matter from the contract with Waste Management. So in order to bring Basra to a more modern style of operating and have more modern policies and approaches to business, we've agreed that incorporating might be advantageous, and this is why we're looking into the business case for it. Each member municipality has to agree in order to go along this route, and there has to be community input into the process as well. So that's where the consultant comes in, and we've hired them. In theory, if we agree to this, each municipality will have to agree to this, to hire them to build this business case so that we can make a future decision about incorporating. The contract with Waste Management, some of those details are confidential, and we have an agreement with Waste Management, not a non-disclosure agreement at this time. So if council members want more details on that, we can have a closed meeting, and I can provide some of that information.
Great, appreciate it.
Director,
I believe,
please.
I will double check, but I believe I can do that.
Director, please.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Mayor Craig. I can't give council an exact tally, but I can tell you a number of the other lower tier councils have endorsed and approved this to move ahead so far. That isn't shared to help guide or make your decision. It's just so you're aware of that information. That 3 or 4 of the lower tiers have made decisions, and I believe another is receiving a report this evening as well, or last night.
All in favor of the motion? And that's carried. Non-application of the Line Fences Act. Didn't think you could have negative motions. Anyway.
Double negative.
So we need a mover and seconder that the municipality of Kincardine pass a bylaw to exempt itself from the application of the Line Fences Act within the municipality's boundaries in accordance with Section 98 of the Municipal Act 2001. Moved by Councillors Stewart and Kavanaugh. You want to talk about this at all? All in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Community investment grant recommendations. We need a mover and seconder that council approves the community investment grant allocations as recommended by, don't go away yet. No, you can't, no. The council approves the community investment grant allocations as recommended by the Community Investment Grant Committee and identified in the report, moved by Councillors Williams and Stewart.
All in favor?
No. We need, if there are any pecuniary interests, this would be a time to identify them.
Okay, so
So, you did already, all them?
Yeah.
So do you want to help direct me through this? Like, we're going to vote on this except for items which were identified as the areas of conflict.
I have so many that if I actually...
Can you tell me?
You have three people who've declared, so you do have a forum of...
Okay, so if anybody who's declared pecuniary interest, you can go now. It's just easy. It's just, or just turn around. Quick, look over there.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, there's discussion? Councillor Stewart.
I just wanted to praise the committee. I thought they did a great job. That's a very difficult, but a few of them have stepped aside and everything. So that's a tough thing to do, but they did a good job, and I'm in support of this. Thank you.
All in favor?
Come on back.
That's carried. I'd like to, with your concurrence, call for a 5-minute bio break. Stretch your legs.
Yep.
I know. No, I know. Right?
Struggling through one of these.
Well, this is the best reality show on TV.
Yeah, you just wanted to see if it was bad.
No, I've got another report on council later that my director would like me to stay, just in case there's any questions. Normally I would.
Other councils you trust, it wouldn't be a problem, but this one.
Well, it's a new resource. I feel like there's going to be some interest. Hopefully tonight. high school? So.
It's funny because that started like 2022 when we were
And so far, knock on wood,
Yeah,
pretty positive conference. I haven't received any opposition to this. Oh, I got that already. That was comment number 2.
Because that's the one I actually got. I'll never be able to go to my Tim Hortons.
Well, I mean, depends on how much, I guess, you want to pay for a bridge over empty lands. High enough that trucks can go through, wide enough that, yeah.
Those things that you just have to like roll your eyes and be like,
I think you'd be better off doing underground tunnel.
just use one of the ravines.
Oh, that's
fine.
fine.
Like we already have.
I mean, you've got the big culverts, right?
Yeah.
You can do.
Just run it down around.
You call that an extension to the red trail, you're good.
They do for wildlife all the time.
Exactly.
Right? You know, an Algonquin, they fence it and then just follow them through. You're like Steph Curry, and you just walk in, don't even take up the warm-up jacket off, and just start dropping. He was like,
That's my hope. So that Jack has said. So it is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I should have maybe talked to Jack about it, to say, yeah, this is the street that needs to be in front of me. So that's what I did. So, don't be surprised. I was hoping for that. I think Karina's still online too, actually. Oh, no, right? I told her to hop on. Well, I mean, that's the interest. But that was Jack's. And well, I'll apologize to Karina as well because it is, you are. Okay. Because Jack was right. But. I wish I wish we needed Oh, it's fine. It is. We're good. We're good.
Big night. I thought we handled 6.1 pretty effectively.
I gave our report there so much, probably wasn't nearly as impressive. As impressive as you get from grades.
Okay, welcome back to our council meeting this evening. We have a couple of motions here. We need a mover and seconder that Councillor Kavanaugh be appointed to the 2028 Kincardine Reunion Committee as the Municipal Council Support Representative. Moved by Councillor Prenger and Steinoff Gray.
He was away, so we just.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's
Go ahead, Roy.
And then the Bearcats report,
Joy.
the one you're going to do next,
Oh.
the one that they have.
Oh, we've done that before.
So it was moved by Rory and seconded by Bob.
Can you turn your computer around? I can't read that.
No, it's all right.
All right, so we have another motion here that has been added to. We approved this at the beginning of the meeting. We moved by Councillor Kavanaugh, second by Councillor Blackwell. The council directs staff to provide a report on the current issues related to the use of barricades at public events and include in the report recommendations for a path forward to address, overcome, or mitigate these obstacles, and that this report be presented to council no later than March 25, 2026. So that would be in 6.
Is that a notice of motion?
No, that's a motion. It was approved by council at the start of the meeting as an amendment, an addition. Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. Just in brief. Apologies. Oh, okay. There's nothing more flustering than having the clerk look right at you like you screwed something up. Through the chair and to council, just in brief, it's been identified that there's a bit of a challenge right now with the wording of the our policies regarding barricades and use in public events like parades or the market, and how it's been executed in practice. And so this was sort of crafted and suggested by some staff as a way of having a report come to council identifying all the issues and then suggesting some possible paths forward.
All in favor? And that's carried. My apologies, I hopped over notice of motions. Does anyone have any notice of motions for this evening? Councillor Stewart.
Thank you very much, and through you, I do have a notice of motion for staff to bring to our next council meeting, which is on March the 11th, the 2023 proposed draft land lease for future airport hangars for council's review and approval. Now, just to clarify this, the clerk and I...
Sorry, no.
Okay.
I'm
And
sorry.
it's second by Amanda.
So this is just a notice of.
A notice of
It'll come
motion.
back to the next meeting.
So,
So it won't it'll come
so
back.
the motion will come, but the report can't come because it'll just be the motion at the next meeting.
That's correct.
Okay. So this is, and a notice of motion is just an announcement that it's coming at the next meeting.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
And it might disappear.
And I'm sorry, there's just no debate on them.
Yeah.
You can't clarify.
Yeah.
Another comment, Councillor Stewart? You had your hand up. I didn't know whether you wanted to say something.
It might be removed after some discussion. Thank you.
Moving on to consideration of bylaws, we need a mover and seconder that the short-term rental accommodation bylaw be deemed to be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw number 2026-018, moved by councillors Blackwell and Steinhoff Gray. Just a little bit of guidance. We have been through this policy many times. So if you have a question for clarity for something, we're not going to go into an extensive debate about it. We kind of have an idea. So if you've got just one more question about that, what does this mean? I'll be happy to entertain that. If we go on and on and on, then the chair will shorten the discussion. Deputy Mayor, do you have a question for the short-term rental accommodations? Oh my gosh, she does. Seriously, are there any questions to clarify? Councillor Blackwell?
Thank you, through you. My only question is, I expect that we'll see a rates and fees charge amendment with this included, if it passes? Okay, perfect, thank you.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Through you, Chair, I'd like a recorded vote on this one. Thank you.
Councillor Williams?
To you, maybe it's to you. Just a quick question around next steps. I think this was brought forward kind of, also in relation to kind of advancing the MAT text, and I was just wondering, once this is approved, once this is approved, is the next steps that the staff automatically start to work on the MAT text, or does something come back to council on what that might look like?
Manager, do you have comment? I know what I think in my head, but that's maybe not what the staff is considering at this point.
Through you, Mayor Craig, we've been directed by council to draft the bylaw for the MAT tax, and so that would be one of our not next steps. We're going to have to roll out the short-term rental piece, and all of that's going to take time and work, but eventually we would get to that in 2026, unless we're directed differently.
Further questions? Clerk, please.
Stewart,
No.
Williams,
No.
Steinhoff Gray,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Blackwell,
Yes.
Pranger,
No.
and that passes.
No.
Sorry, I spoke too soon. That is defeated because a tie is defeated.
4-4. We're missing one, so it's 4-4.
Moving on. We have a motion to pass bylaws moved by Councillor, moved and seconded that the following bylaws are hereby read a first, second, third time, finally passed this 25th day of February 2026. Amendment to zoning bylaw 2025-052 at 472 Mechanics Ave. Swim Smart Program Memorandum of Understanding bylaw, bylaw 020. Fleet Management Policy bylaw 2026-021. Traffic and Parking Amendment bylaw 2026-22. Non-application Line Fences Act bylaw 2026-023. Moved by councillors.
What happens if we voted no for one of them?
You can pull it out.
Okay.
Like you can pull one out if you want.
Question, Councillor Williams, please.
Just to clarify for the Swim Smart MOU, do we have to give direction? We talked about some minor changes to the MOU just being made, and does that need to be reflected?
As amended? Okay, so there's, staff has the ability to make some administrative changes as long as the intent and the function and all that don't change. So Councillor Blackwell's suggestion about the wording will just be included as a part of that, and some of the other concerns that we mentioned. Councillor Stewart, please. You had a question?
Yes, I wasn't in favor of the Swim Smart, so when we approve them, are we approving them all, or can we remove that one and have a vote on that one separate? Yes, I'd like to pull that one out separately, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
So number 2, this motion to pass bylaws will not include Swim Smart Program Memorandum of Understanding.
Correct.
The bylaw number remains the same, and when we vote on it next time, it'll come back as that. Okay? All in favor of those bylaws?
You have a mover and a seconder?
Kavanaugh and Deputy Mayor, all in favor? And that's carried. Now we need a mover and seconder that the Swim Smart Program Memorandum of Understanding bylaw 020 be read first, second, third time, finally passed 25th of February 2026. Moved by councillors Kavanaugh and
What's this one, Swim Smart? This is
Yes.
Swim Smart, as amended.
Blackwell, all in favor, and that's carried. Consent agenda. Items listed are considered routine unless anyone wants to withdraw one for comment either this evening or in a subsequent meeting. Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much, and through the chair, there's 2 reports in here that I really want to pull out and highlight both to my fellow councillors and to appreciate the work that staff has put in, as well as any members of the public. It's relevant to discussions I've seen online lately, and they are 8.1 Alpha Infrastructure and Development 2025 fourth quarter update, and 8.1 Alpha Charlie, which is the Development Services 2025 year-end report. I think they're both absolutely fantastic pieces of work that outline essentially creating a report card, as I was saying earlier, that scores every area where development is happening in our municipality. It's very easy from a high level to look at something and say, that it doesn't appear something's happening. But this report breaks down piece by piece where those permits are and where those various sites are going in progress. And I just thought that was worth highlighting. Thank you.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
I'm sorry, thank you, through you, I'm not as good with the Alpha Bravo stuff. 8.1, geez, anyways, I don't know what number it is. It's the one about the AOR's comments and recommendations for Public Works, especially facing escalating threats on the job. One of the things is we have an R-zone policy, we have some protections in place for those who work in our facilities, but Public Works, or in our case, infrastructure and development, and in some cases, parks and facilities, are often out in the public independently, and some of the comments and experiences within that report are quite alarming. And so I'd like to bring that back to a future meeting to support some of their calls for action.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Who knows what this one is? It's C, A, oh, no B. Well, whatever, it's E. It's the Bruce County Federation of Agriculture invitation to the 18th Annual Politicians Meeting. I'm not sure if some of you have been or haven't been. It's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. Our community's big agriculture. I've been there. I think the mayor's been there every time. Unfortunately, I'll be on holidays, but I'm recommending to the council, if you can attend, it's worthwhile. Everyone's there. It's a great meeting. It's almost a whole day meeting, but worthwhile. So I'm just giving a shout out to it.
I would like to receive a very brief remark from our clerk, 8.1A-B, the Joint Bruce County Election Compliance Audit Committee, and there's some deadlines about that. Is that someone that we are supposed to appoint, or is it automatically a staff person, or is there, how does that work?
So we will appoint, this council will appoint the Joint Bruce County 2026 Election Compliance Audit Committee. So this council will appoint the members. No, we will appoint all 7. So what's going to happen is the clerks are going to take in applications. We will bring the applications to all of the councils with a recommendation for the 7. To be quite honest, this is a very specialized job, and normally we're begging people to do it. If we have more than 7, we'll be looking through them and providing you with 7 that the clerks think are the best. Council can look them over. If they agree, then they will approve them. And then those 7, when we have a compliance audit, I'll ask for 3 to do that compliance audit. And that's, the people that maybe don't have a pecuniary interest, or somebody's not on vacation when it happens. So those kind of things.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it won't be till probably closer to the summer we'll do that. So the March deadline in there, that's when we're actually going to start, once all of the councils see these reports, we're going to start putting it out to the public and getting people to apply.
All right, so there, we need a mover and seconder that council approve the recommendations contained in the consent agenda dated February 25, 26, and direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative actions. Moved by Councillor Stewart and Kavanaugh. All in favor? And do we need a mover and seconder that council support the it's right here, the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors calls for provincial action. So there'll be a letter of support come back to council. Moved by Councillor Blackwell and Kavanaugh. All in favor? That's carried. Member of Council general announcements. Deputy Mayor.
I have no announcements.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
No announcements this evening.
Councillor Stanoff Gray.
No announcements.
Councillor Williams.
No announcements.
Well, I'm going to interject and say I had a great time at the Winter Fest, and now Councillor Stewart's going to talk about that.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I'd like to thank everyone, and Lori and your staff for helping us out, and Mother Nature for providing snow and providing weather. It was a total success, so thank you very much. I think I'll let my fellow councillor, unless she's not going to talk about the coldest night of the year on Saturday.
Go ahead. I've got my others.
Anyways, I'm associated with the Good Food Box, and they have the coldest night of the year this Saturday. And Lori, there's something else on Saturday, Cato's, do they call it? And we'll be participating in that through the Tiverton Lions. So just wanted to thank everyone for putting all those things on. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Manager, would you like to speak to that? You were drawn to our attention.
Through you, Mayor Craig. So we are having our, this is our second annual Kincardine Kudos event, which is to bring our special event organizers together that raise all kinds of great events and some raise money as well, but really bringing them together to give them some kudos for doing all they do for our community, but also then sharing some important information that helps them do their job. And it's also a bit of a brainstorm and a bit of a foundation for the development of our tourism and tourism strategy. So there'll be some work there and a keynote speaker around that.
Councillor Prenger.
No announcements.
Councillor Blackwell.
Working? Oh, is that working? Thank you. Okay, thank you. Through you, first of all, today is Pink Shirt Day. My son reminded me this morning, so I had to make sure I put something pink. A day to reflect on bullying and allyship. I also wanted to draw attention that earlier this week, it was the Human Trafficking Awareness Day. And on March 4th, Kincardine is going to be hosting with the OPP and the Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee a human trafficking awareness event. I believe that's March 4th in the evening at the Davidson Center. So that's going to be a really great opportunity for folks perhaps involved in the tourism industry or people with children who are just kind of curious and looking to get information about the signs. The last one I wanted to draw attention to is there is a polar plunge coming up with the South Bruce OPP in support of a Special Olympics. And I am actually part of a team on March 6th, which is the date of the event, is the one-year anniversary of my neighbor's son passing away. So we are doing the plunge. I'm not personally doing it. My husband's doing it. I've whisked out. But we're doing it as a team in memory of Riley Van Bergen.
All right. We need a mover and seconder that the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine of February 25, 2026 be deemed to be read a first, second, third time, finally passed, numbered as bylaw 2026-24, moved by Councillors Kavanaugh and Stewart. All in favor? It's carried. And that this regular council meeting adjourn at 7:28, moved by Councillors Prenger and Williams. All in favor? Oh, all in favor, yeah.
All in favor.
Yes. Go home. Wow.